Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. I really, it's pretty awesome to be here with all of you. Having been born in a CMI myself, I was born in the fire. I was born in the Holy Ghost. I was born in the water and in the blood, and I'm glad about it. It totally changed my life. And every year, maybe even multiple times in a year, I'll feel this overwhelming sense of gratitude for what God's done in my life. And I'll often text Michael and I'll just be thanking him for everything that he's done and his obedience to the work of God and to what God's called him to. And honestly, it's so overwhelming. Sometimes I wish he was right there so I can give him like this big old bear hug. But I'll settle for the text usually. But it's people like Michael, like Brother Michael, like each of y'all that are on here, that I'm here today. I really don't believe that I should be alive today, but when we met, my life radically changed. And that's special to me. And to be here with you and to know that each of you, like Michael, are giving your time. I mean, it's a Monday night. It's 9:50. My bedtime's 10. And y'all are here 9:30 to 11 being poured into, receiving the word and praying together and encouraging one another and sharpening one another so that people like me can be reached. And it's emotional for me and it's encouraging to me. And so I want to tell y'all thank you. Yeah, I'm thankful for my pastor and for my bishop who gave their lives and continue to give their lives to see broken people being put back together again. They got their hands dirty when we had conversations together and they got their hands dirty and they allowed God to use them to touch my hurting places and to give life to those places again. That's why you're here, because that's what you're gonna do, and that's what you're doing at these campuses. I'm thankful for people like that. Lastly, I'm thankful for my wife, Cassidy. She's on here. She's listening. She supports me. She prays with me. She's the most giving person I know. She's the strongest woman I know. And the way that we came together was a God process. And I'm so glad for her. And I'm glad that I can be here with y'all. But tonight's going to be a very practical night. It's going to be very, very practical. But at the same time, when two or more are gathered and Jesus is in the midst, it's really hard to avoid him. So we're going to get spiritual, but it's going to get practical. And you're going to be equipped with stuff that you're going to be able to use in CMI, in your family, in your friend relationships, on the job. This is an all-inclusive, everywhere type equipping. And I'm really believing that if you can receive this, it's going to radically change how you operate in the kingdom of God. Radically. So let's take a moment and pray a little while before we jump into it. And Michael, I don't know, can I share my screen? Do I have that capability?
You should. This is a paid version, so you should be able to share it. Yeah, you can.
Okay. It says you disabled attendee screen sharing. So you may have to give me permission.
You have to make him a co-host, I believe.
Oh, well, look at you, Shannon. Shannon for the save. Okay, 1 second. Sonny. You have to make him a co-host?
Yeah, if you go to participants, right-click on me or click that little drop down that says more, you might be able to do it from there.
All right, 1 second. Let me try this.
And then we'll pray.
All right, you should be good.
Okay.
Does it work?
Yes, perfect.
Wonderful.
All right, let's pray. Lord, thank you so much for today. Thank you for bringing us together. Thank you for your goodness, your mercy to us. Thank you that we can come to you boldly before your throne to find mercy, to obtain grace in our time of need. Lord, thank you for a moment of time to just pause and to receive a word from you that I believe is going to do a miraculous work in our lives. I don't think this is a small thing. I don't think this is just a nice, cute Bible study. I really do believe that you want to do something. And I pray, Lord, that you help me get out of the way and help me to just flow in you. And I pray that you would give us ears to hear your voice, that you would encourage us, that you would strengthen us here today, that you would build us up, that you would equip us, Lord, that when we leave this time together, that we would know exactly where you want us to go, what you want us to do, and that you would order our steps to do it. And give us grace here tonight, Lord. Work in us both to will and to do of your good pleasure. I thank you for this time. I thank you for every single person that's on here today. We praise you, Lord. You are worthy. You are so worthy of praise. You are so worthy of praise, and I thank you for you. We love you, Lord. We love you. Thank you, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. So before we get into talking about the practical side, I just want to give a little bit of understanding about where this concept came from. In Matthew 4:19, it talks about how Jesus wanted them to be followers of him so that he can make them fishers of men. And I heard one man say that he was wanting to show them fishing beyond fishing. He wanted to take where they were, their occupation, all the things that they knew about fishing, the messiness of it, the strategy to it, and he wanted to take that and take them further in it. And he wanted to show them something more. And so my occupation is sales. And so I got thinking about how, can he show me sales beyond sales? Can he show me something from where I am right now and take me a little bit deeper? And I don't know, maybe I'm biased, but being in sales feels like I'm an evangelist, but I'm an evangelist for my company. And I'm going to sow seeds. I'm going to let people know of what we have and things like that. And so what we're going to talk about kind of stems from this sales beyond sales. And I don't want you to get too tied up in sales. I'm not calling you to be a salesperson, but sales is not as intimidating as some people think. Sales is really just problem solving. It is finding a problem, and if you have the solution, then you have a sale. But if you don't have a problem or a solution to a problem, then you don't have a sale. So when we approach people, we're looking for their problems, and we're evaluating, do I have a solution for it or not? In our case, we do. But not everybody feels like they have a problem. Some people know they have a problem and they will willingly receive help and say, oh man, you know the way out? Well, tell me about it. And then you got other people that they feel like they don't have a problem. Jesus said something to the effect of, I've not come for the righteous, but for the sinners to be saved. People that are well, he came for the sick. The Pharisees, they were sick. They did have a problem. They were sinners. They just didn't see themselves that way. And so he moved on. He said, well, I'm going to look for someone who knows they have a problem. Because sales is about helping people solve problems. That's it. So when we approach them We can approach them with the solution and say, hey, I got the best solution in the world and blah, 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 blah. And I can tell you all about it. Or we can ask them about their problems and kind of address those problems and learn about those problems. So when we approach them, what we don't want to do is just approach them with the solution. What I've learned is when you approach somebody with a solution, they immediately get very defensive. And the more we do this, I got a solution for you. This is the best solution for you. You got to get a solution. It gets a little overwhelming. And people get put off and they get on their guard. But we can't go into a conversation about what's your problem. We can't talk about what's your problem, man. We can't talk about what's your struggle. What are you dealing with that's hard in life today? You can't. People don't open up to that. Try walking up to someone in Walmart or Target or Starbucks or wherever you can go these days and ask them, what are they struggling with? And chances are they're not going to open up. So then how do we go about starting that conversation? That's what we're going to talk about today. Okay. We're going to talk about sales beyond sales. Because in this time with COVID, I found myself in a struggle, right? COVID hit businesses very hard. Track with me, okay? I'm going with this narrative. Follow me, walk with me. Don't try to get to where I'm going. Walk with me. We'll get there. But here I'm in the midst of COVID. I'm at my job, and I'm trying to figure out, how do I help my company when nobody wants to buy stuff right now? When nobody is interested in buying, how can I help? And I found this concept where people were, I don't know if y'all have heard of Masterclass, but Masterclass was offering free online courses. They had like 2 free online courses. There are some software companies that did extended trials. Southwest had severely reduced airline ticket prices. I think Brother Ian is on the call here today. I think he got one-way tickets for $39 to Maine and one way back for $39. That's cheap. Cheap prices. And they were doing all of that really to add value. And I'm seeing all this happening and I'm like, well, what do I do? Yeah, I grew tired of people telling me different things about why they couldn't talk to me or why they couldn't buy from me. Because of COVID, our budget was cut. We don't have money to spend on it. Priorities have changed because we don't know what's going to happen in the next few months. We don't know what's going to happen for the next year. That we just let a bunch of people go. We don't have the resources right now to devote time to this. I just have so much going on. We're planning. We're coming up with plans. We're cutting this, that, and the other. I don't have time. So my question was, how could I stay relevant? How could I be around these people and not be asking for stuff all the time? When I call them and I'm saying, hey, can I get a little bit of your time? I got this really nice thing that could really help you out with X, Y, Z. How could I stay relevant? How could I be around them? How could I expose myself to them? The truth was that something had to change about my approach. I could no longer approach people with this concept of, hey, do you want to buy something? Or, hey, I got something that might help you because it helped so-and-so. And I had to change my approach. And so that's when I really came to this concept of deposits versus withdrawals. Deposits versus withdrawals. I had this thought of, I don't have social media, so I don't quite keep track with what everybody's posting here or there. But the idea of posting that, hey, we got, this and this event at such and such time, and just kind of leaving it at that as an open-ended invite or or just telling someone, hey, I got this event going on this week, and then week after week asking them and wondering, are they going to come or are they not going to come? And if they don't come, well, do I ask them again? Like, how do I ask them? How do I ask them differently? Is there a creative way for me to ask them? And so I kind of want to talk about the difference here between deposits and withdrawals, taking what I've learned in sales and applying it here today. So it's important for us to know what the difference is for a withdrawal. So a deposit, in a nutshell, is just giving something of value to someone that can benefit them now for free. I'll say it again. I know you can read it, but it's giving something of value that can benefit someone now for free. It means you're not expecting anything in return. You're not expecting anything in return. You're just giving it to them. In a college, it might be tutoring, it might be friendship, it might be lunch if they happen to live close to you. I know colleges are a little different. But it's just giving. It's giving to them. It's not asking for anything in return. It's just giving to them something of value that can benefit them now for free. The withdrawal is a little different. It's asking them for something of value that they value that costs them. That could be time. It could be their worldly friendships. It could be a lifestyle change. Those are withdrawals. I don't want you to get the idea that withdrawals are bad. Deposits are good, but withdrawals are bad. No, they're both great together. I have this thought that somehow we expect that with the current way that things are, that somehow, with COVID, with the political things going on, the social injustices, and with all these pressures that people are experiencing in the world, I feel like there's somehow this expectation and almost a hope that, people are just going to realize that Jesus is coming soon and they're going to repent and they're finally going to come to me and come to my Bible study. Or they're finally going to start searching for the Lord. And it is happening. Don't get me wrong. It's happening. It's happening. But I think the Lord is kind of looking at all of the hurt and all of the pain everywhere and looking for his body to reach out to the broken, to reach out to the hurting, to reach out to them and comfort them. To help them. And not so much the expectation of, are they going to come to the event? Or are they going to come around and are they going to attend this and attend that? No, I think he's calling us to just go out there and help them. So I want to talk about these deposits. These deposits are touches that add value to your relationship with someone. They're touches. They're moments in time where you experience an exchange with someone, or a moment where you get to pour on someone and pour into someone that adds value to them. Because the more good touches that you have, it creates a positive connection. Now, before we go much further here, I want you to consider, I believe in the spiritual stuff. I believe that we can pray and people will repent at 2 o'clock in the morning. I believe it's happened. I don't know if you know Sister Vonnie Marshall, but that happened to her. She woke up in the middle of the night, saw a bright light. The Lord spoke to her. She knew it was him, and she knew where she needed to go. I believe in the spiritual stuff, and I'm glad for it. But it's important to consider that when the Lord spoke the first and greatest commandment, he said, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, and ye shall love the Lord with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. He's saying, love the Lord your God with all of your heart, all of your emotion, all of your passion, all of your motivations that reside in your heart. Love him with that. Love him with all of your soul, every part of your spiritual being, everything that you open yourself up to. Let it be loving the Lord. Let it be something that's godly. When you open up your spirit to something, let it be godly. He said, love the Lord with all your mind. That means everything that you could ever think of. Any tangible thought that you have, let it be loving the Lord. He said, love him with all your strength. He said, love him physically. Love him with your eyes. Love him with your mouth. Love him with your hands. Love him with your feet. Love him with everything that you do physically. So love him mentally. Love him spiritually. Love him emotionally. Love him physically. So we are humans that are mental, emotional, spiritual, physical. And when we interact with people, we're touching all of those pieces, whether we realize it or not. And so when we have this deposit, a deposit is going to leave this positive connection. When they talk to you, when they have an exchange with you, they're going to walk away feeling good. This is the idea. This is the idea that when they walk away, they shouldn't feel like, oh man, they keep asking me to go to this event. I just keep like saying I can't, but I can. They don't need to feel that. And that's not bad on you. You should invite people. Don't get me wrong. You should invite people to Bible study. You should invite people to prayer meeting and to event. You should do those things. Those are important things. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. But when they walk away from you, they should just feel good. That's it. That's it. It's our job to make people feel good. Good vibes. Good vibes. Why? Because Jesus made deposits. He did it time and time again. Constantly. You've experienced his deposits. Someone speaks a word into your life. That's a deposit. They speak an encouraging word. When you have someone text you and say, hey, I prayed for you this morning. That's a deposit. I had people text me today because they heard from me or they heard from on social media that such and such was happening. I'm going to be here. They texted me this morning. I'm praying for you. They made a deposit. And so Jesus, he makes deposits. He handed out bread. He handed out fish. He handed out healing. He handed out wholeness. He handed out forgiveness. He handed out his life. And he was generous about it. He wasn't cheap about it. He was generous. He gave and he gave and he gave. Forgiveness. He gave. Deposits are about giving. It's about giving. It's about giving. It's good to have Bible study and it's good to have prayer, but how are we doing in this time that we're in? November 2nd, 2020. How are we doing with giving to people? Some of you are giving to people. Some of you are giving to people. But it's a question to consider. Am I giving and giving and giving? Am I being generous about this giving? And we're going to talk about this. We're peeling back the onions to this thing. Deposits are about helping people. Helping, you know? How do you help someone when you can't be in the same room as them? Think about this stuff as we keep going through this. Think about how could I help someone being behind this screen right here? How could I help someone when I'm not behind this screen right here? Because deposits are about helping people. So how can we help people without asking them for something? Consider it, consider it, consider it. Consider how can we help people without asking something in exchange. I'm going to say something that's challenging to you. Deposits are not inviting people to a Bible study. It's not. When you invite somebody to a Bible study, they are not getting help right then and there. They're not directly getting help. Don't get me wrong. It's not bad to invite someone to a Bible study. It's great, but it's not a deposit. It's a withdrawal. You're asking them to give of their time. It's not a bad thing to do that. It's just not a deposit. When they're in the Bible study and you're doing what we're doing right now, which is pouring into them, that is a deposit. But the invite, that's not a deposit. That's a withdrawal. I don't know. I feel like this is challenging. I don't know. I don't know if it's challenging to you or not. But deposits are not about inviting people to prayer meeting. It's not about inviting them to a young adult event. It's not. Invites are not deposits. They're withdrawals. You're asking them to come to your event. You're asking them to attend. You're asking them to put aside whatever they were planning for that night to attend what you're asking for. It's an ask. It's a withdrawal. Deposits are about building trust. Yeah, I've been to churches and I don't really believe in that stuff. Why? I had a bad experience. Some people have gotten hurt in church. And we're here picking up the pieces, trying to communicate to them that this is a good thing. It's about building trust. It's a steady thing. It's a patient thing. Deposits are incremental. Think about it. Have you ever broken someone's trust before? And you had to build it back up again? I have. It's about deposits. It's about building trust. It's about building credibility. When we've been making steady deposits, consistent deposits, it helps people to, when they finally come to that place of, man, I need God. And you know what? So-and-so person is a person that I want to turn to because deposits build credibility. You should be the credible person. You should be the most credible person that they've met. This is what deposits are about. Deposits are about them. It's not about me. It's not about me. I can't be here right now talking to you about deposits for my benefit. This is about your benefit. Deposits are all about them. Them. It's not about what I can get out of it. It's not. It's not about how I invite. Thank you, Brother Michael, for talking about the people that I brought. But I didn't bring them for him to say that about me, so that you could think good of me. I did it because in that moment, I felt like those people needed the Lord. They were battling stuff that I knew God could help them with. Deposits are about them. It's not about me. It's not about me. We're peeling back this onion. Hang back with me. Hang back with me, all right? Deposits are a one-way street. Nothing back. Nothing's coming back to me. Nothing's coming back to me. I'm not thinking about what's coming back to me. It's a one-way street. Some of you might be thinking about unconditional love. That's exactly it. Unconditional love. It's a one-way street. We say relationships are a two-way street. Jesus doesn't treat me that way all the time. He didn't treat me that way when he called me to him. He gave me stuff that I never deserved. He gave me mercy when I didn't deserve it. He gave me grace when I didn't deserve it. There are times in our relationships, I don't care what relationship you're in, it's going to be a one-way street. He's called us to that. You could be the most loving person to someone and they could spit in your face. They did to Jesus, and he still went to the cross. It's a one-way street. Deposits are a one-way street. Deposits are about sowing seed. This is where it kind of gets fun for us. It's about sowing seed. It's about throwing that seed out on the ground. Now, a point to note about sowing seed, you don't sow seed and then go inspect whether each and every seed is growing. You just don't do that. You don't have the time. You don't have the resource. It's honestly a waste of time to do that. So when you're out sowing seed in whatever way that you are doing, you don't have to break your head about, are they going to respond? Is it going to happen now? Be expectant about growth. If you've been talking to Brother Michael McGurk, then you know about breaking up the ground. You know about prayer. You know about spiritual warfare. You know about getting that ready. That's what you're about to do with these prayer walks. We're about to get that ground ready, and that's perfect. That's great. But we need to know about sowing seed. We don't need to go to each and every seed and be caring about what's going to happen to that seed and what's going to happen to this seed. When we sow, let's just sow and move on with life. Let's go do the next thing, and we'll come back and check to see if there's been any growth on the whole thing. You just look out and you see if you can spot any kind of green. And if you're green, you're good. Go green. Praise God. What's sowing seed about? Sowing seed is about exposing hearts to the word. And get your scuba gear. We're going to go a little deep. I got really about this right here. Sowing seed is about exposing hearts to the word, the word, the word. Why? Why are we doing this? Why are we sowing seed? Why are we exposing hearts to the word? Why am I getting so excited right now about sowing? Because of this verse right here. But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly. But he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. This verse just speaks for itself right here. If you're sowing a lot, you're going to reap a lot. Just keep sowing. If you're sowing, keep sowing. If you're sowing, sow some more. If you're not sowing, start. Because if you sow, you are going to reap. You might even reap where you haven't been sowing. Just keep sowing. Just keep sowing. Watch this. I have showed you all things, how that so laboring, ye ought to support the weak and to remember the words of the Lord Jesus. How he said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. What is the Apostle Paul talking about here when he says it is more blessed to give than to receive? Supporting the weak, helping somebody, sowing. You're giving to them. When you support, there's a lot of people that are weak of mind right now. There are a lot of people right now, while you're here listening to the word of God and trying to figure out how we could save the world, there's a bunch of people that are cringing at what's going to happen at the elections tomorrow. Or when they find out days from now, weeks from now, whenever they're able to count all the ballots. There's a lot of people stressed out that are weak because they don't have what you got right now. And he's saying it's more blessed to give to these people than it is to receive from them. And there's two ways Jesus made deposits. There's two ways that he made deposits. He taught. And we know this, preaching, right? Pretty much everybody on here can preach, whether you believe it or not, you can. Some of you even preach to yourselves in the mirror. I know, because I've done it. Praise God. Encouraging ourselves in the Lord. David did that too. I just don't know if he had a mirror. Jesus taught. He taught the word of God. He sowed into them. We know this. Sermon on the Mount, right? The Beatitudes, the true vine and the branches. He taught. He preached. Repent, for the kingdom of God is at hand. He taught. He was sowing the word. But that's not where we're going to focus today. Because you know how to do that already. You know the Bible studies you can teach. You know that already. This is where we're going to talk. This is where we're going to focus. And this is what we're going to talk about. Lifestyle. This is the other way that he sowed. He didn't just talk to them about the word. He was the word. He was the word made flesh. It's in our lifestyle. I want you to ponder this word for a little bit. It's taught. This word lifestyle is more than just holiness in the sense of the way we dress and how we wear our hairdo. It's about more than that. Our lifestyle is everything. Our lifestyle is everything. And this right here is our strength. When I was preparing this and praying on it, I just took a pause right here. Allow God to form your lifestyle. Allow him to form your lifestyle. This is so important. The way Jesus lived, he probably taught them more by how he responded to people, how he reached for people, than he did by talking to them. They say children, babies learn more from how parents live than from how parents teach their kids to live verbally. There are things that I've observed in myself as I've progressed through my young adulthood where I've seen things that I've picked up from my parents I didn't even know were there. Our lifestyle is everything. Everything. Everything, everything, everything. And where the teaching is dependent on the Word of God, the lifestyle is dependent on allowing the Spirit of God. Okay? So it's allowing the Spirit of God. And we see this very clearly and very succinctly, very simply in this verse right here. It's in the fruits of the Spirit. It's so simple. It's so simple. What I'm talking to you about right now, you've already heard it. This is not new. You've already heard it. All we're doing is focusing on this, and we're going to take this and we're going to apply it. Hang with me. I'm almost done. I want to give you guys time to kind of talk a little bit, to digest a little bit, to share a little bit. And we're going to have time for that. I'm not going to go too much longer. But here he's talking about fruit. Now, could you unmute yourselves for a moment? Because I got a question for you. What makes a fruit a fruit? Come on. Seeds. Emily says seeds. What do y'all think?
It tastes good.
There we go. So seeds are what makes fruit botanically. Now, if you want to get into a friendly debate with someone who's in the culinary arts, they might argue with you. If you argue with the federal government, they might argue with you. But a seed is what makes a fruit botanically. So when you're living your lifestyle with, what does that mean for you and me? When you're living your lifestyle with these fruits, love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance, you're sowing seed. How does that happen? How does that happen? Now, I don't mean to be crude, but when a bird eats a fruit, it only digests the fruit. It eats the fruit, flies off, but still got the seed, and it lets it go somewhere else. Right? So when you have fruit, you have a seed. Where what you sow to the Spirit, you will reap. If you sow love, you'll reap love. If you sow joy, you're going to reap joy. You sow peace, you're going to reap peace. You sow long-suffering, you're going to reap long-suffering. You sow gentleness, you're going to reap gentleness. You sow goodness, you're going to reap goodness. You sow faith. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. How do they taste? It's when we give them our fruit. See, because not everybody comes to the Lord to find sustenance. Fruit, there's life in it. It's life-giving. Fruit's life-giving. Gives us energy. When your sugar's dropping, or y'all not old, your sugar never drops. But when you're feeling kind of hungry and you eat a fruit, feels kind of good because you ate something. It's giving you strength. And we come to the Lord for this strength. He's able to feed us. But not everybody comes to him. So what about these people that don't come to the Lord to taste and see that the Lord is good? Well, it's pretty simple. When people don't come to the Lord wills to come to them. He desires to go to them. That's why he came in the flesh. It's why he came in the flesh. But they didn't receive him. But he still came anyway. The Lord wills to come to them. And he did. He went all over Israel. He preached, he talked to them. He told them about the kingdom of God. He told them about the good things that the Lord has for them. But there came a point where he recognized that he couldn't go. He knew he couldn't go everywhere. He was appointed for Israel. John chapter 12, verse 22. And there were certain Greeks among them that came up to worship at the feast. The same came therefore to Philip, which was of Bethsaida of Galilee, and desired him, saying, Sir, we would see Jesus. These were Greeks. They're saying, we would see Jesus. Philip cometh and telleth Andrew, and again Andrew and Philip tell Jesus, and Jesus answered them, saying, the hour is come that the Son of Man should be glorified. Why is that significant? Because Jesus couldn't go everywhere. He willed to go everywhere, but he couldn't go everywhere because he was limited by his flesh. And so he says to them, when he realizes that the door is now, it's opening to the Greeks. See, when he went to the Syrophoenician woman, he wasn't ready to minister to her. He said, I've come for the children of Israel. It's not time for you. But there was something happening right now where this door is opening and the Lord realizes something is about to change. Something's about to change. When you go to the book of John, chapter 7, verse 39, I think it says that the Holy Ghost was not yet poured out on them because Jesus was not yet glorified. And here he says the hour has come that the Son of Man should be glorified. That he was talking about the Holy Ghost is about to get poured out. People are about to get filled with the Spirit of God. And now, just like he manifested to people here, he's going to again manifest to people through us. And when we allow this fruit to occur, fruit is a maturity thing. I don't want to dig into that too much, but it's a maturity thing. It's about surrendering your life to God, not just repentance, baptism, and Holy Ghost, receiving the Holy Ghost, but it is the continual dying to yourself. It's the continual putting away your identity, taking on his. It's the continual allowing him to flow and not you. And when you do that, this fruit shows up. Because the hour had come where the Son of Man should be glorified. And as people, as we would go to others, he would manifest to them through this fruit. Why? Because the fruits of the Spirit are digestible to the lost. I don't care who you are, you want peace. People are looking everywhere for peace. This is why they go to drugs and alcohol and sex and money and fame and all that other stuff. It's because they're looking for the stuff that we have from the Spirit. And the awesome part about the fruits of the Spirit is that the fruits aren't for us. The fruit is never for the tree. The fruit is for the people that pluck it off of the tree to eat it. And it's digestible to them. It's digestible to them. I'm almost done. Just hang with me. My wife and I have a baby, right? And we are starting her on solids. We've started her on solids for a little while, but we've been talking about, the approach that we want to take. And a lot of people in today's world will feed their kids starchy type things like, I don't know, like rice or cereal or what have you. But when you kind of look into it a little bit, and if you have siblings and parents that have little babies or siblings that have babies or whatever, don't judge them. But babies aren't actually able to digest starches like rice and cereal very good. And the reason is because in their saliva, they don't have the enzyme called amylase. And so amylase is what starts the digestion of the breakdown of these starchy foods, these cereals in your mouth. It starts the breakdown in your mouth so that when it gets to your stomach, you can digest it a lot easier. And babies don't develop that for at least like 24 months or something like that. Or like 28 months or something like that. Don't quote me. I'm not a doctor. I changed my major too early for that. But fruit is digestible to our baby. She can take a banana and go to town. She can take an avocado, which is a fruit because it's got a seed, and digest that thing. Fruits are digestible. So when you're trying to win the lost, show them some peace, show them some love, show them some joy, share it, be a light, shine in this place. Because they can eat that. I'll give you an example. When I was in college at University of Maryland, there was this one guy I had, a friend that I had. His name was Raphael, and we would hang out every so often. And this dude had some bad days. But we would hang out, and we would just chat, not about God. We would just talk. And we would talk and talk and talk and talk. And it might be like an hour or 2 hours, and we're just chatting because I didn't have homework or anything to do. But we would talk, and then we would go our separate ways. But one day he said to me, he said, bro, every time I talk to you, I feel better. And what I had been experiencing at the time was this sense of joyfulness. And it was just awesome. I was like discovering the fruit of joy. and what I believe he was experiencing was that fruit. He was benefiting from the fruit of joy. People they're not going to understand what they're experiencing always when they're around you. They're not going to quite realize exactly why they feel good to be around you or to be talking to you or when they receive your text messages. They might not quite get it, but it's digestible to them. I don't want to dig too deep into that, but I hope you get the point. Because this is the point. we got to get better at depositing fruit. Because we're talking about deposits. If you can get a hold of this, deposits, it's going to cut through the awkward feeling of asking somebody to join your event every week. It cuts right through the awkward feeling. You don't have to feel awkward about giving to someone. The scripture says there's no law against it. There's no law against these fruits. If you decide to love and pour out on someone, there's no law against that. There's nothing awkward about it. When you go out with someone, you invite them to lunch and say, hey, I want to buy you lunch today. What do you think? Now, this is guys with guys and girls with girls. Okay, I'll put that one down. Deposits arm you with another reason to reach out with any expectation for something in return. You can take the burden off of you. There's no expectation from anywhere around you of, man, so-and-so's not doing well. They're not inviting somebody to church. Let go of that. Get rid of the weight. Oh man, my CMI didn't grow by 500 people this semester. Get rid of the weight. You don't have to reach out to people to try and get your numbers up. That's an age-old problem. Let's shed ourselves of that. We don't need another reason. We're just depositing. I'm reaching out because I wanted to love you. You don't need to worry about what you're going to gain. Just focus on helping somebody. When you have deposits in mind, it gives you a strategic approach to social media and a different motivation to post. You don't have to post for the likes. You don't have to post to get appreciation for how you look today. You're beautiful. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. Know that. You don't need likes to tell you that. You can be strategic in your approach to social media and you can still have fun. Okay? You can still enjoy it. It doesn't have to be a chore. But when you have deposits in mind, it can give you a different approach to how you operate social media. You can have a different motivation for it. It gives you a strategic approach to texting somebody. And it gives you a strategic approach to reach out to just about anybody that you can think of, whether CMI or otherwise. And I want you to remember that deposits can be fun. We're going to kind of talk about this a little bit. So I have a few more slides, but I want to kind of hear from you a little bit. As we get practical about deposits, these are just a few things that I put together. It's not exhaustive, but look at these. Are y'all unmuted? Can y'all unmute yourselves for a little bit? Yeah. I want to kind of hear from you. I'm going to pick out a few, and I'm just going to kind of talk about them. I put pray for them, sharing your testimony, texting them, hey, you were on my mind this morning. Some of this stuff you're probably already doing. But look at on the right side where it says share Instagram stories or stories on whatever platform or pictures or video clips that show your lifestyle. Be funny or at least positive. Now, these are just some examples I thought of. Put your own personality to it. Express yourself. Be joyful. But I want to hear from you just a little bit of, what are your thoughts when you look at this? Dylan, talk to me.
I think
or
it shows. Oh, you called somebody else?
No, bro, go for it.
Okay.
I think I interrupted you.
Yeah. I think it shows emphasis on, like what you said, just being a help to other people, rather than just focusing on praying for somebody or doing a Bible study or sharing a scripture or something like that. Because you think about Jesus's mission, it was like simplified to like its simplest form. It's basically just he was helping the world.
Yeah.
So when you look at all these bullet points and different things, it's just, it all comes back down to help. So that's what's on my mind as far as that.
Good. Very good, bro. Thank you. Thank you, Aaron. What else we got?
Sonny, go ahead and call some people out.
All right.
Brother Sonny, just getting back to your post about just buying them lunch or dinner. That's great. You know, I think a lot of times we try to, you know, force people to come to church. So you got to come to my church, this and that. No, get to know somebody first before you want to invite them out to your small group or your church and just going out for coffee. You know, lunch or dinner is just a great way to get to know somebody. That's just one of the things that I felt led to share.
Sure. That's good. Very good.
There've been a lot of times that I've been just at the basketball court or something like that, and I've met plenty of people just hanging out, you know, playing basketball or going somewhere else. And one thing we tried to encourage our members at ACC a couple of semesters ago was to try and get involved with the other clubs. You know, try picking up other people's hobbies, and then by gaining their interest, then you're investing into, you know, what they're already interested in, and then that way you can build that bridge. That was another avenue that we had taken. We also did another thing that was actually kind of cool. We set up a table like right in the middle of the quad. I'm not sure how this would really work right now with COVID and everything, but we set up a table and we just asked kids to help, if we could help them find their books for the beginning of the semester, you know, the best price for their books. And we would ask them what class they had, and then we would do get their email and contact information, do the research for them, and email them the best link for the best price for the book. And a lot of kids appreciated it, and they just enjoyed us helping them out. And we didn't really, you know, give them the card or anything like that. We're just here to help. And looking at this list as well is a lot of practical things of, you know, that's the soil that we're putting, or that's really the seed, I guess, is what we're planting in these people are these acts of kindness and these things that aren't really looking for something to get back out of. It's just, you know, you're just planting that seed.
That's good, bro. Very good. Very good.
I love that it takes the expectation out of things. Like, it completely takes the expectation out from their part and from your part. And that's what makes it so beautiful and simple. And it's that agape love format.
That's right. Amen. Amen. Who's this?
Hey, can I ask a question?
Yeah, bro, go for it.
So, you know, when you're doing like I think like outreach, you know, like sometimes we'll meet up and go to outreach. How did you guys apply this, you know, when you're doing like, you know, like I guess like just straight up like, hey, we don't know any of these people we're talking to, but we're just going to go do outreach. You know, can you still do like the deposits thing when you're trying to like, you know, do the one-on-one soul winning kind of? I mean, it's not soul winning because that's like, you know, it's not a real thing, but you know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Well, sure. What do you think?
Well, I mean, like, cause like, so me and Dylan, we were up at UMD recently, and you know, a lot of times like, we'll try like down depending on like the liberty that we had there, like praying for people. That's one of the, you know, if a door opens up, trying to pray for people, you know, like, hey, like, especially like when you're, you know, using the gifts of the Spirit, like you can kind of like feel stuff on people. So I'm like there's one girl that we ran into, like you could tell that she was depressed, like just straight up, you could tell. And then, you know, like, hey, you know, would you mind if we prayed for you? And like, she, you know, she didn't really budge, you know what I mean? So I realized like sometimes the like the off the gun, like, hey, when we pray for you kind of thing doesn't really help most college students. So like, and that's why I think the deposit makes a lot of sense. It's just like, how do I apply that for, this person doesn't know me at all, but I want to, break the ice and make it like, hey, like, you seem like you're, I guess, like, try to make it more conversational.
So let me ask you, if you're asking someone, can I pray with you? Is it a deposit or is it a withdrawal?
I feel like it would be a deposit, but in our day and time, it seems more like a withdrawal.
Okay. So neither are bad, right? Deposits aren't bad, withdrawals aren't bad. But if you're asking them, hey, can I take 5 minutes to pray with you? Is that a withdrawal or is it a deposit?
It's a withdrawal.
When you pray with them, that's the deposit. But when you ask, that's the withdrawal.
Okay. It's on the deposit sheet.
So pray for them. Okay. I thought when I put it on there about praying for them in my intercession time.
Oh, like not one-on-one, not there. Okay, I see what you're saying.
So
I misunderstood.
So when I say, what can I pray with you about? It's, or pray for you about, that's in my time.
Okay, I understand.
But then when you follow up, you're talking about, hey, I was praying about, hey, I know your brother was having surgery. I've been praying about your brother. How's your brother doing?
Yeah.
You're showing love. You're showing care. You're showing compassion. That's the deposit part, the follow-up. The praying is the deposit, but the asking of, like, can I pray with you right now in the middle of campus while everybody's walking by? That's a withdrawal. And that's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. Michael did that to me in the library. And God healed me of a stuffy nose and the asthma that I was dealing with that day. It was awesome. And I'm sure y'all have had experiences when you prayed with people and it has happened. But how about, but do you get what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
That makes so much sense. It makes a lot more sense.
I don't want it to seem like one is right and the other is wrong or anything like that. But when you're praying for them, that's the deposit. When you follow up with them, that's the deposit. When you're asking them, like, hey, can I pray with you right now? That's a withdrawal.
Yeah.
If you were to say, hey, what's your name? You said it was a girl, Jenny. Hey, Jenny, how are you doing? My name's Josh. How's your day going? Or your Josh thing, whatever you do, however you introduce yourselves to people, right?
Yeah.
And as you start talking to her, if the door opens of, hey, or you could just say, hey, I was thinking about, I just walked by you. I was just like, man, I want to pray for that girl. But, like, is there anything that I can pray for you about? It doesn't have to be right now, unless you want me to pray with you right now.
Yeah, put the ball in their court kind of thing.
But is there something that even I can take into my own private time and pray with you about? And when you do, that's the deposit. And then when you follow up, it's like, man, he really meant what he said. He wasn't just trying to get me to come to his club.
Yeah.
You're building trust. Deposits are about building trust.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's my dog.
Nice.
I'm sorry.
It's all good, dude. I got a baby. Same deal.
One thing I'm getting from this brother, Sonny, is I'm not sure if you already said this or not, is I guess in the business world or whatever, unless you make the deposit first, you can't really withdraw anything. That's sort of how it works at the bank, right? I guess you get a loan or something like that. But unless you're this development of trust or discipleship, or, just this process of us trying to win souls, you're not really going to put that seed in the ground unless if the soil's right, if the nutrients are right and everything else. I guess I'm probably going too deep in that metaphor, but just that you have to start with the deposit in order to get to the place of the withdrawal, and you'll get that better response. Because I'm speaking from experience. I've done it so many times where I've handed them a card and said, "Hey, please come to this," and ask them something. So this is right hitting the nail on the head right now. Brother Sonny, it's perfect, because I've got a lot to examine myself, to see how I've been doing it, and to be more I guess intentional about depositing first, so that way down the road there's something to withdraw, or it's easier to withdraw something that's already there. I guess you're right. Sometimes people will be willing to just withdraw off the jump, but it's less likely, right?
That is such a good point. And again, with the bank metaphor, if you overdraw, they're going to tell you, be like, look, you have no money in your account. There's nothing here. And then sometimes if you overdraw with people, they're going to want to not deal with you at all. Like, the bank is going to be like, we don't want you to be at our bank anymore because we know that you're not responsible. We know that you don't care. So when you're trying to overdraw people, they're going to say, they don't really care about me. They just care, they want me to be there, but they don't really care about me and my daily life. They don't care about how I'm really doing, how I'm really feeling. They just want my presence around, it's so superficial, I guess. So don't overdraw with people, because then they're not going to want to deal with you. They're not going to want to hear what you have to say. They're not going to want to be around you at all. So yeah, with the deposit thing, that's really good. Yeah.
Amen. Very good. Very good points.
Brother Sonny, can I add something really quickly?
Yeah, bro. Go ahead.
First of all, man, thank you for being on here and teaching this. This has been really great so far. But I really love talking about practical application with college students, because every single college student is different, and they all have a different past. They all have a different walk with God. They all have a different walk. And when we apply practical application with spiritual intercession, there's so much room for reaping. Just because, like you said, not every, you can't just go up to every college student and start laying hands on them. They're not all going to receive that. But sometimes it's the little things that we do to just show God's love, and to practically apply those things. It's so crucial, and you can really reap the benefits of the harvest. So thank you, man. I really appreciate you sharing this with us.
Amen. Amen.
Sonny, is there anybody else that wants to mention something real quick before, I've got a few things I want to mention before Sonny finishes off that I think. Is there any other? I want to hear. I love hearing from you guys, you the college students. You guys have said some awesome stuff. Is there anybody else that has any thoughts, questions for Sonny? Any insight?
I had another question. So kind of going back to the outreach thing that Josh was talking about earlier. You mentioned kind of walking up to someone and asking them how their day was going. So when you initially stop someone and start a conversation with them, that's a withdrawal of their time. So what's kind of the best mode to go into something when you are doing outreach, when you are trying to get out there and meet people or be in a place where people are, to kind of make new contacts with people? It's a hard situation right now with COVID and kind of trying to balance that. What's the best way to make that withdrawal, but also try to put a deposit in there if they're willing?
Sure. Good question. So I think the design of outreach is such that you are going to tell people, you are going to ask them of the time, of their time, that it's the design of outreach. This concept of deposits and withdrawals is a lifestyle. So outreach is a designated time where you are going to tell people about the Lord, ask them if they, so coming back to what Josh was saying, yeah, that is a good point. When you are going to do a specific thing, you go do it, and whoever's open is open, right? So yes, so in my job, sales, I might be trying to do these deposits, but I'm still calling people. I'm still interrupting their day. They're busy doing their stuff. I'm still interrupting their day, but I'm going to follow up with an email that's a deposit. So I guess maybe the question is, when I do interrupt their day, what kind of deposit can I leave? And then can I replicate that and be consistent with it? Can I bridge a contact to be able to deposit into their life again? That's the idea. Now, not everybody that you talk to, you're going to be able to do that. But it's just part of it, right? So you just keep moving on. Well, have a great day, and you keep going on. You go to the next person. This is you let go of them. You dust your feet off of, shake the dust off your feet, whatever that verse is, and you keep going. Well, I know it's 10:59. If y'all have any more questions, I want to be respectful of your time. I do have a couple more slides, but really it was just two things. I'm not going to pull the slide again. Just one question was, what did you see or what did you not see on that slide of practical things that you can do? And we don't have time to talk about it today, but it would be good if you could get together in groups or something, or text your friend or somebody on here and just kind of pick their brain of what are some other ideas. Like, I didn't put memes on there, but I know somebody who just straight texts memes to this one guy because this guy thinks memes are hilarious. I don't quite know how to search for the right memes, so that's not my forte. But think of different ideas, talk to one another. And the last point I wanted to make was be organized. Don't be willy-nilly about it. I wish I could get another whole hour and a half to talk about being organized, but the enemy is organized. He's intentional. Ephesians 6:12 was the verse that I was going to share with you, but check it out. He's organized. So be organized in how you approach this. Be organized in how you deposit stuff. It's 11 o'clock, so I'm about to turn into a pumpkin.
Well, Sonny, man, this was so needed. And I want to challenge you guys about something. I want to bring some more practical applications that you guys can be intentional about doing this. I want to encourage, this thought came to me while he was sharing all this. I want you to think about the people you're working with. And like you'd have a bank account that has deposits, how much money you've put in, and withdrawals, how much money you're taking out. I encourage you with the people you're working with to literally create a balance sheet with deposits on the left and withdrawals on the right. And every time you make a deposit, write it down, just put a tally, maybe even write, took them out for lunch. And then on the right side, write how many times you withdraw. And I think you'll be blown away by how many times you try to go withdraw and you're like, oh man, I've got to deposit more. And I think when we start realizing the people we're working with and we realize how much we're asking of them, I think we're going to be really awakened, I guess you could say, or we're going to be blown away by the fact that, wow, what Sonny is saying is a word from God, because there's so much biblical truth behind this of what the way Jesus acted, the way he walked, the way that he, our culture, our Pentecostal culture is very driven by withdrawals. And I am not saying that we intentionally do it, but let's be honest. You can withdraw a whole lot more with your flesh alive than deposit. Deposit takes death to the flesh. It takes sacrifice. It takes time. It takes energy. It takes money. But when you're always asking of other people things, your flesh can kind of be pretty comfortable. So deposits are very uncomfortable. And I think that we have to do a better job of paying attention to how we are reaching for people and what we're doing with them. And I think we'll be pretty blown away by the amount of openness that comes in the Bible studies that naturally come by us giving more of ourselves to them without expecting anything in return. Because that truly is love. Love is giving of yourself and not expecting anything in return. The world's view of love is if I give, I'm also going to get back. God's view of love is I'm going to give and it's gone. I'm not ever expecting to get it back. How often do we really love the college students that sit next to us in class through God's point of view rather than the world's point of view? You could, let me just put it this way. Our flesh can try to be very spiritual. meaning our flesh can try to act spiritual, but it wants to still live. So flesh will go just as far as it can to be spiritual without actually dying. So it's going to still try to it's going to still try to be comfortable in through spiritual ways. The only way that we can truly have a move of God and see the lost saved is by our flesh dying. And this is such a great practical tips on how we get our flesh crucified, how we get our flesh laid on the altar. I'm going to share this with you guys, and I'll probably talk more in depth about this later. But the Lord has really, really been dealing with me about the idea of winning and how winning actually can be prideful. And winning is really about taking credit. I am very competitive. I don't like to lose. In sports, I was the kid who, if I struck out or if I hit the ball to the shortstop and I got thrown out at first base, I'm throwing my helmet, I'm angry, I'm mad. Now I'm doing much better. But as a kid, that was my nature. My nature was very, very, very intense to win. I didn't like to lose. I still don't like to lose. But the Lord is helping me because unfortunately in the kingdom, this mentality or this nature of winning started coming to the kingdom where it became more about winning than it came about giving. So the devil tries to get us to think that winning and giving are two separate things. And if you're going to win, you got to be able to do this and that. But this is what the Lord started helping me with. The greatest way that I can win in the kingdom of God and not take credit, meaning I'm giving God the credit, I'm giving God the glory. The greatest way I can help the kingdom win is by me in every situation seeing how I can help somebody else win. And that is exactly what these deposits are. It's what Sonny's saying is a major confirmation of what the Lord's been dealing with me about. I have just in the last week, and I'm saying this because I think we think we're helping the kingdom win when really there's times where it's really about us winning. It's really about us getting credit, and we don't even realize it sometimes because our flesh tries to be spiritual, but it can't be. Flesh can never be spiritual. Flesh has to die. Flesh cannot live. Okay. So I started looking at things through a different lens, and my life is forever changed. And I feel like Sonny's presentation is basically that, just in different words. And this is it. Waking up and going, how am I going to help my wife win today? How am I going to help this youth that I'm working with? How am I going to help them win today? No, it's not about how am I going to get the youth group that I'm leading to win. No, how am I going to get that young person to win? I'm disconnected from it. They have to win. I've got to help them. I've got to deposit into them. Because ultimately, if you make your entire life about making somebody else win, everybody wins. The problem in the kingdom is we become territorial. We become more focused on our own ministry, on our own growing things, that we end up not even realizing that we are unfortunately not being as kingdom-minded as we can be. But when it comes down to deposits, making sure that college student that I want to see come to Christ, how am I going to help them win today? It might not look like a Bible study yet because they're not ready, but I can help them win today by buying them lunch. And I'm helping them win. I'm getting them closer to Christ because I'm acting like Christ. How can I help my pastor win? How can I help my campus leader win? How can I help every single person around me to win? The only way is by giving. And when you live like that and you think like that, where every single person's deposit, which Sonny has said is a seed, man, imagine how much stuff's going to grow. And God's going to get the glory because it's not going to matter where the seeds came from. All of us working together are planting and giving. Man, this was so good. We've got to get our flesh on the altar. We've got to give our time, our reputation, and our life for these souls. It's for the souls that we're giving. And so I want you guys to write out that balance sheet, do a little T, deposit on the left, withdraw on the right for every individual that you're working with. And I'm going to say this one last thing too. I think a lot of us, when we hear outreach or we hear evangelism, we really start assuming it's about people we're trying to talk to, you know, on the walkway of the campus or in the library we've never met before. But a lot of this is about people we're already connected to, people that we've already met in the classroom, people that we've already been around, that we've already built a relationship with. I guarantee you, you start depositing to some of these people that you've already been connected to, watch how open they become to Bible studies. Watch how open they'll become. Kyra said it. Connor just said this is about motive more than method. That's exactly right. Jesus gave of himself. We're going to be campus ministers. To be like Paul and Peter, we got to give of ourselves. Well, guys, this was very, very powerful. Sonny, I am so, so glad, man, that you were on here. You have really, really blessed us tonight. I am I'm going to be praying on this and chewing on this for a long time. This is very good. And you guys, I hope you go back and you watch some of this stuff. I'm going to ask if you guys have some notes, start sending them to me, because we've got a gold mine of quotes that I'd like to post on our Instagram to help our campus ministers. One other thing for you guys before I finish here, I'm going to post the Awakening registration in the chat. Please go ahead and I'm pulling it up right now. Please go ahead and register, or at least open the link so you can register later tonight. It is free. I just dropped it in there, January 15th and 16th. Make sure you register. One other thing I was going to say. If you have not done this before, I was thinking about this today. Please share the Maryland, D.C. campus ministry page. I feel like it's really that Instagram page is going to continue to help be a resource and a blessing to other campus ministers that are wanting to go deeper and to be used of God. So if you've never shared it, go ahead and share that and get other campus ministers connected, because we want them to be in part. The last thing I want to say is I talked 2 weeks ago about who's your Timothy. And I got a really amazing testimony from Nikki Pappas that she said she walked up to some of the high schoolers in her church after praying and asking the Lord who her Timothys were. And the Lord revealed to her that there were 2 high schoolers in her church that were desiring God and that she needed to get connected to them. So Nikki got connected to them, and now they're going to be joining her in the campus ministry prayer walk at Towson University. There's no better way for high schoolers and others that are just sitting on a pew. They've got to be connected to the kingdom. The way that young people work is if their hands are empty, they're going to reach for the world. But if they get their hands so full of purpose, they have no room to reach for anything else. We've got to get Timothys around us. We've got to pour into people. And that is a great way that the burden of campus ministry is going to be released, is by us pouring into our Timothys. If you do not have a Timothy, do not have somebody that you're pouring into, then I'm urging you to pray about that, because it's very biblical and we must have a Timothy in our life. Amen. Just like you're a Timothy, you should be a Timothy in somebody else's life. Well, I love you guys very much. I know we went a little late today, but it was so worth it. Sonny absolutely killed it and helped us big time tonight. We've got a lot to chew on, and I encourage you guys to go brainstorm with your campus ministry. I'm going to post this, Sonny, if it's okay with you, this deposit chart you put up.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, if you guys wanted my notes, Dylan just texted me, but if y'all want my notes, I don't mind sharing it. If you want, I can put it in it's on a PowerPoint, but I can put it on a Word document or something.
Bro, anything would be helpful. We really appreciate that.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it looks like everybody here would love that. So
sure thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, man. Well, guys, Sonny, we love you, man. You are, of course, a major part of the family. I know you're not able to be on here, of course, since you are in a different season, but you are will be forever part of the CMI family. We love you and appreciate everything that you did tonight, and you have really helped us. And I'm excited about what's going to come from this, the fruit that's going to come from people letting the fruit grow in their life and to plant seeds in everybody that they come across and deposit. So guys, the question we ask you guys as we close off tonight is, who are you going to help win? And ultimately, who are you depositing into? And are you going to deposit this week? Start doing it and watch what God does. Thank you, Sonny. We love you, man. And we're definitely going to be getting you on again as the Lord allows.
Sonny.
Hey, man. Love y'all. This is so cool. Thank you for having me, bro.
Yes, sir. Well, everybody, you guys have a blessed night.